My lovely people, a pleasant evening to you. I've been a little bit busy for the last few weeks working on reports and doing all kinds of gymnastics, work wise, that I didn't even get the opportunity to vlog on something that I think is very important. Not nonsense, not foolery, not popcorn cheese tricks type material. And this is about a toddler, a 25-year-old man and a toddler killed in a drive-by shooting in Kingston 20, Nannyville, I think it is. So it says a 2-year-old boy and a 25-year-old man were killed in a drive-by shooting along Grenmead Road, Kingston 20, Monday night. That was in September. The toddler has been identified as Tajaun Jackson of a Nannyville, St. Andrew address, while the man is Marley Powell, otherwise called Beans, a businessman of Grenmead Road. The Corporate Communications Unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force says Powell was sitting on a bench in his community with a group of persons when a motor car approached about 7:30 p.m. and the occupants opened gunfire at Powell. When the shooting subsided, Powell, Jackson and another man were seen suffering from gunshot wounds. They were taken to the hospital where Powell and Jackson were pronounced dead and the other man treated. We live in a Jamaica where, because of not enacting the accountability framework that is set up, and when I mean accountability framework, where this level of lawlessness is not stopped. People are not fearful in breaking the law. They are comfortable in breaking the law at all hours. And I'm talking about committing heinous crimes. Now, when you have drive-by shootings, you know that you're going to have the ammos going any and everywhere and anyone can get killed, which end up happening to the Tajaun. Don't remember his last name right now. He's Jackson or Powell. But he's a 2-year-old Tajaun Jackson ended up being killed, murdered in cold blood because of this drive-by shooting of, where gunshot was open in the open air with that particular gentleman or that particular man and a child, and another man was injured, but he's alive and well. And it tells me that people really and truly laws are not being enforced in the right and proper way. Because I'm thinking about certain countries, like if you were to go to South Korea or maybe even North Korea or China, I remember somebody had lived in, some years ago, somebody was sharing with me how they lived in China for a few months, about 4 months. And he said, Toni-Ann, you would love it. I mean, it's not just the technology. Before AI became AI in the way that we know it, and TikTok and all of these things. And he said that the technology was super amazing. And he said, you would love the nice things, so you would love Hong Kong. But he said the crime rate was so low, you knew the number of prisoners. Like he mentioned, they had 3 prisoners from different countries. I think one would have been extradited. I'm not sure if they would have gotten rid of one. And one, the laws of the land is trying to beg him to be extradited for them to deal with him. Something of the sort. I remember him sharing with me. But he said that cameras are in every crevice and corner. And if you ever break the law, you don't have to worry and wonder if they're going to hold you accountable or hold you answerable. You will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And those countries are not democratic, like ours. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know their laws well, but I know it's not under the democratic ruling. So it's like you have, and I use this analogy, although it is not the way it is supposed to be. You know, when they say an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, is not what people say. You pluck my eye out, I pluck yours. Is that whatever crime you commit under the Mosaic law, the punishment must meet the crime. So the punishment must not be above the crime. So if a man, for example, steals a pen, you don't lock him away for 70 years. That's unjust, even though he's being punished, even though it's a theft that, you know, that was committed. So it must meet. But I'm going to use it in a very basic sense. You know, an eye, certainly for an eye, whatever you do, they come for you there. And we don't seem to have that here. People get away with any and everything. When I look at how disrespectful our people are in this country, just drive around Jamaica. Just stop at the average place. Just drive on the road. You can't slip. You can't make a mistake on the road. The way how they behave with you on the road, it is unbelievable. They have no qualms in breaking the traffic light when it is on red. And when I talk when it just turned red, when it dip on red, they have no qualms in breaking it. I remember I was at a traffic light and it was on red for a little bit, and the man was blowing me out of the way while it's on red. It wasn't even about to change. You know, and you can look across the other light and then it can guide you to know that this one is about. No, it wasn't a case like that. You know, and I realize that people are just lawless and gutless. That is why you have these things happening. They're not being held accountable. There are too many of these kinds of people getting away. Whether it's drive-by shooting, breaking and entering, it's chopping, all kinds of things. It's like we're under the spell of murder, of chopping, of molestation, of rape, of bad treatment, of disrespect. Oh God, disrespect. Maybe had the list. Perhaps disrespect had the list. I have never seen a time when people are rude, discourteous, and disrespectful. It's a flagrant disregard to humanity and, more importantly, to God. God says we must love Him with all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our mind, with all of our strength. And we must love, which respect is a component of love. So men, when you say that you don't want love, you're saying you don't want respect. You need to change that hypothesis that you're promulgating. It is not a factoid one. If you want respect, it means you want love. I know you're talking about the affectionate love. You're not so much into that like women. The hugging and the kissing and the whatnot. You may love the sex, but the affectionate aspect of it, you know, women tend to, based on how we are wired, we love that more, a little more than our men. But once you say you don't want respect, once you say you don't want love, it means you're telling the woman you don't want respect. Because if I love you, I respect you. Love is not just some bubbly feeling inside. It means let me do to you what I want somebody to do to me. And these people assume that God has given them, you know, the permission to get rid of people. He has not. That is reserved for God. No matter what. Laws are created so that people who break them are held accountable and moved away so that they don't create harm for others. So that is why you have the prison systems. But even in the prison systems, the recidivism, meaning going back into the systems, is high. Because it's not that people are not only held accountable, but they're not being rehabilitated to become better. So you have more junk crows coming out than eagles, far more chickens, you know, than hawks. Just calling a bird, you know, no majestic kind of a bird. More junk crows. Very, very sad reality. Very, very sad reality. That 2-year-old boy, he has not even lived. Basically still a baby, probably couldn't even speak properly. And his life was taken away. Because we don't deal with anything that is unethical or unlawful in the right and proper way. And that is why we continue to repeat these cycles. But may God's judgment be upon them. Simple as that. since the laws of the land, judgment is not. God's judgment is upon them. Guys, you know what to do. Rate TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those likes.